Hello, today I'm going to be speaking to you about boundaries. So in this video, I'm going to tell you about 7 ways that I've identified to improve your boundaries. So if you think your boundaries aren't very good with family members or friends or people at work, this is something for you. So it's something that lots of us strive to create, and some of us have naturally good boundaries. But if you think that this is something that you have to work on and it's not your forte, it may be that your boundaries are generally quite good, but they're tested at some point. So this might be quite useful for you. So lots of the people I work with are very caring, empathetic, and kind. And sometimes that goes along with being treated in a way that doesn't really respect your boundaries if they're not very strong. It's not to say that you can't be all of those things and have good boundaries as well. So that's what we're really striving for, is to get more balance. You might, if this resonates with you and you think, yeah, this is something I definitely need to work on, it may be that you've had it since you were a child. It may have happened in the playground. Maybe you were trying to please your friends, or trying to sort of didn't want to say no to people. Sometimes that can be to do with your boundaries as well. Or you may have found that within your family, your birth family where you grew up, or even at home now as an adult. So sometimes what happens is you start to get a bit of a reputation because people think, oh, this person is really easygoing and they're not likely to say no, so I can ask them for lots of different things. And it could be in the form of your time or your energy, or your something that they want your help with. Okay, it could just be your company, for example. So I would say, first of all, have a look at the different areas of your life. Think about your work life, your life at home with your family, or if you live alone, with your friendships, your social groups, and consider each of those separately. And if you can think of any other areas which are distinct in your life, and then write down a number from 1 to 10, 1 being I have absolutely no boundaries, and 10 being I have a very good, strong boundary here. So mark yourself on that number and just take a note of what that number is, if it feels low or if it feels high. So does it feel that, oh, I'm not strong enough here, or does it feel, no, here I'm okay. It could be better, but I'm okay. And then I want you to take a different coloured pen and write down the number that you would like it to be, so you can see the difference between the two. That will give you something that you can measure. So as you work on your boundary issues and you try out the steps that I'm going to describe to you, you can then see how that feels in a week or 2 weeks. Okay. So I would also say to you, if you suffer with a chronic illness or an autoimmune disease, by the way, this is not at all medical, this is just something that I have noticed through many of the people I've worked with. Some of them also report having quite poor boundaries and being almost like too flexible and too easygoing, and letting people kind of take their power, if you like, because they're kind of letting other people take their power. And it's something they're not always happy about. But if you think about your skin is your biggest organ, and that's like your boundary between what's you and what isn't you, it's almost like allowing something in to your body or past that barrier is almost a kind of metaphorical boundary. And sometimes I find that the people I work with who have those kinds of illnesses, that it goes along with the personality traits of being very full of empathy and kindness and not wanting to let people down and not being able to say no, which is often a boundary thing. So here are my 7 tips. So the first one is to really visualize, get a sense of what your boundary feels like if you were to be able to see it or touch it. And this is quite telling because it will appear to you in a way as a sort of metaphorical description of how it is. So is it tall? Is it short? Is it big? Is it small? Is it close to you, far away? Is it strong or weak? What kind of material is it? Okay, so just get a sense of that first of all. Then I want you to I want you to consider, your second step is to consider if there's an area where it's particularly not very strong, and that's the area you want to work on. I would start with one area. So let's say this is with your boss or your work or colleagues. I would deep dive into that situation and really find out what it is when you feel that that boundary is being crossed, or you feel that somebody's pushing against that boundary. Because what you'll find is when you feel strong and comfortable, you feel that this is a fair and equitable relationship, you leave feeling good. But when you feel that you've been pushed and you feel almost violated is quite strong, but you can feel that somebody's really overstepped the boundary, and that's when you know that that's a problem. So I would start with that area. If it's something that's a big area in your life, if it's something that happens with one person you hardly ever speak to, that's probably not worth working with that one. But choose the scenario and really deep dive into it and see what happens in that situation. So that's step 2. Step 3, I want you to consider the reasons why you are that way. So most of us are carrying beliefs from our childhood, things we've grown up with, things our parents said, things that were common in our society at the time, wherever we grew up, in the culture where we grew up. And, whether that's something you've grown to learn as an adult, or maybe it's something that's a deeper belief that's been there a long time, and make peace with that. It's okay to have those beliefs, but, it's also okay to want to update them. The next one, number 4, I want you to decide what to work on first. So this kind of goes with number 2. Do you want to make a really massive impact, or do you want to just do something in a light touch way? So for example, if you are always trying to keep the peace and please someone who is like your life partner, making a change there might have an impact on every other decision and every other thing in your life. If you decide to do it with one colleague you hardly ever speak to at work, that might have a smaller impact. So just decide how big you want this to be. Okay, the next step 5, think about someone you admire. This could be a real person, or it could be someone from a book or a film, a character from a play. And I want you to think about what you like about them, and I wonder, do they have good boundaries? And if so, how do you know? In which instances have you seen them kind of show that they have that good, healthy boundary? So when you think of a role model, try and choose one who you want to emulate. So if you find that the person you've chosen is a pushover, a walkover, is treated badly, you really don't want to be emulating them. So choose a good one. Think about what they would do in a situation. What would this person do? How would they behave if this happened to them? Okay, then number 6, I want you to think about a time when you showed that you had a good, strong, healthy boundary. Perhaps somebody was pushing, somebody was pressing you again on something, and you were strong. And I want you to consider what the outcome was and whether it was a positive outcome, and how you feel about that situation now. Number 7, I want you to journal on this. So get out your journal or a piece of paper, and you might want to go back over these questions, and I'll put the questions down below in the writing beneath this, and you can look at those questions, or you can watch this back and think to yourself, just answer the questions that I'm asking you, but in a form of writing. And the really brilliant way to do this is automatic writing. So you just set your timer for 10 minutes or look at the clock and start writing. Don't worry about your spelling, your grammar, if it makes sense. Just write whatever comes out without focusing too much. It's almost like allowing your unconscious mind to offload whatever's there. And you might think, I really don't have anything to say, but once you start, it might just continue to flow. If this is a really massive area for you, do it every day. Do it every day for a week and see what the difference is. Sometimes that can really make a huge difference. So those are the 7 steps I wanted to mention. The last thing is that I wanted to say that I'm actually doing some distance Reiki now, and I'm adding that to some of my offerings. So if that's something that you're interested in, working with energy work, cord cutting, cleansing, your kind of spiritual body, your energetic cleansing, that's all something I can speak to you about. And obviously, if this is something that you have tried to work on, or you've tried the steps, or you've listened to what I'm saying and you're thinking, I've done that, and you want to really work on this further, please get in touch and we can talk about how I can help you one-to-one. Okay, thank you very much. See you soon. Bye.